Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Aggies head east to Philadelphia for a big non-conference battle against Tempo. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, Hans, it is time to kick it off. It is your Cougar Preview Show right here on the Zone, counting you down to BYU and Kansas State. You just heard from Matt Wells, who joined us, the co-offensive coordinator for Kansas State. Had a great conversation with him. If you missed it, it'll be available for you in podcast form at KSLSports.com and on our podcasting feed. Just search Hans and Scotty wherever you get your podcasts. But he loves the way his offense is clicking right now. And, Hans, you've watched a lot of film on this team, and Kansas State's got it rolling right now.
They do. They're really stinking good, man. And I know that this game is going to boil down to a lot of things, but this is where we got to start. I think this is the big question that BYU is going to have to answer. Can you even stop Kansas State up enough in the rushing game to force them to pass?
Yeah.
Now, BYU's doing a lot better in their rushing defense. Right now, Scotty, they're 41st in the country, giving up 106 yards a game. Remember, last year, they gave up 180 yards a game. They've given up 4 touchdowns on the ground. They're giving up 3.4 yards per carry. 3.4 yards per carry, 106 yards a game. That's against Southern Illinois, SMU, and Wyoming. So not spectacular rushing offenses.
Yeah.
And I also want to point this out. That Southern Illinois quarterback had 120 of those rushing yards.
Yeah. Yep.
If you take his performance out and you go just off of running back rushing yards, it's much lower than 106 per game.
Well, and then the next week they played a much better quarterback at running the football and held him in check.
They held him in check. So I think that they showed some aspects of being able to control and contain a quarterback. But this is a unique challenge because this is a rushing offense that's putting up 245 yards a game. They're averaging 6.9 yards per rush as a team. Whew. So whether that's Avery that's taking off, their quarterback, or it's DJ Giddens, their running back, or it's a handful of other guys. I've talked about Dylan Edwards, and Joe Jackson is another running back that's got himself some yards. I was reading through the notes this morning. There's 8 guys that have run the ball, and every one of them is averaging in that 6-ish yards per carry. So they're very efficient running the ball, and they're going to make it really tough for BYU. So the question is, do you think BYU can stop up the run enough to even force them to pass?
Okay, so I don't think they stop the run. It's just how much are they able to mitigate the damage? Is that 6-yard average or 6.8, what did you say, 6.9 yard per rush average?
Yeah, Kansas State is at 6.9 yards per rush.
If they hold Kansas State to 4.8 or 4.5, you feel pretty good about that.
Very good. Very, very, very good, yes.
And so they're not going to hold Kansas State to 75 yards rushing in this game. Kansas State's going to go for 100+.
Yeah.
Okay. But
you want to know the number I put on it for a win?
Yeah, what's the magic number?
The number I put on it for a win is 165.
That's still a good chunk of yardage.
It's a good chunk of yardage, but I'm being fair to Kansas State. I'm being realistic to BYU, and what I'm taking in account is what that would mean and what they would have to do in the passing game and putting the ball in the air, because BYU, the one thing that they've been doing the last 2 years is grabbing interceptions.
Yes.
4 consecutive games with 1+ interceptions in it. So they are able to pick off the ball, and yeah, we know that Avery Johnson is a great runner, but put him to the test and see if he'll make a mistake through the air.
Yeah.
If he'll make a hurry-up mistake and put it into BYU's defensive hands. So I got it at 165.
And that's assuming 35 carries.
Yes. Yep.
Or more.
And I think BYU can do it. I'll draw it out the reason I think BYU can do it. Because I'm not just going to throw that out there. I think they can do it. Because they've got a nice new rotation of defensive linemen that are really helping with this run game. The first one I'm going to mention is Luke Tuomalatai. He's 335 pounds, but he's not that 6'2", that 6'1", or that 6-foot guy that we've seen at BYU the last few years.
Yeah, who is the nose guard that was
Mahe.
Yeah.
Nasa
Mahe.
Yeah, Nasa Mahe. Who was great at what he was asked to do, but and you know, they've had 4 or 5 guys like that. This guy's a 6'5" beast.
Yeah.
And he's doing a very good job what he's asked to do. I also like Logan Latui. Mm-hmm. When he's in on the run game, he's better than Isaiah Banya. Isaiah Banya started the game against Wyoming. Logan Latui was banged up against Wyoming, but I think I heard Kalani yesterday say that he's expecting Logan Latui to be fine and ready to go. We saw Logan walk off the field, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was on his butt for a minute, and the trainers came out, but he did walk off under his own power, and I'm expecting him to be available. So Logan Latui's doing a better job. I have watched Tyler Batty show a lot better control in extending and getting into the run lanes. He did a very good job at that against Wyoming. And so I feel like BYU and their personnel up front is much better than their personnel up front was last year. And then I've seen the scheme working. And then the other guy there's 2 other guys that change up run defense. Jack Kelly makes a huge difference. They will put Jack Kelly on the spy on Avery Johnson, just like they put Jack Kelly on the spy on Preston Stone and Kevin Jennings, the 2 quarterbacks at SMU. So Jack Kelly's going to be responsible for keeping Avery Johnson where he's supposed to be.
And did a phenomenal job in that SMU game.
And then the last one is Isaiah. Yeah, now his name's escaping my mind. The linebacker. And he is because I always get him. I get Banya. I get Isaiah Banya and this guy every time. But
I'm spacing it too. Hold on. I got you.
Anyways, he is showing a tremendous amount of athleticism and ability to scrape and get into the gaps. Glasker, thank you. To get in the gaps and do his job. So I think 165 is possible. And what I did with 165 is I'm just putting it as a baseline. Like, you get there, and there's a good chance there's a W by your name after this game. If it's in the 180s to 220s, then there's a really good chance there's an L by your name in that category.
Because you're giving up long, time-consuming drives. You're giving up 3rd and shorts.
Thank you. To the quarterback rushing.
And it just plays into their game.
And that means that you gave up a 35-yard breaking run for a touchdown off a scramble or an option look or something like that.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like Utah State holds Utah in all but 1 carry to 3.9 yards per average. But that 165-yard run by Mekhi Bernard pushes that average to 5 and ultimately change the game. So, one individual run where you miss an assignment or your safety's not where he needs to be or whatever the case is, there's miscommunication, can completely alter a game. You have to be darn near perfect for 60 minutes here. So that's the question. Can BYU hold him to 165 in the rushing game? Now, last year against this Kansas State team, I'd say not a chance. Yeah.
Not doing it. Just can't do it. You just don't have the personnel. You don't have the ability. This year, I'm more encouraged. The other reason I'm more encouraged, this is now your 2nd year in this defense. So you've got a better grasp and a better understanding. Jay Hill's got a better grasp and a better understanding as a defensive coordinator. He's taken off the head coaching cap now, and he's a couple of years integrated into being a play caller, a defensive play caller, and now he's got a defense that when he calls the plays, they're a little bit more connected. The other reason I feel much better about this, the safety situation is better.
Yes.
And in Jay Hill's...
Light years better.
Yeah, light years. And in Jay Hill's defense, the safeties play a huge role in slowing down and stopping the run. So, the Alfreys of the world, the Walls, and the Wakeleys of the world, they're all going to have to be on high alert. The other thing, I heard Kolani mention that Michael Harper will be out there and he'll be ready to go. And we just haven't called his name.
No.
Like, they've done the damage that they've done it without Michael Harper.
Pretty impressive.
So, yeah, because Evan Johnson has been an absolute stud at nickel or corner, wherever they've asked him to be. And you've gotten some good minutes from even a freshman like Tommy Parasis, who's come in and jumped on the scene and made a big impact. So I think that the number, when the night is over, I think the number is going to be 165. But what that does is that just puts you right there. That puts you right there on the number.
Yeah. You'd love to be 140, but
yes.
But there's a point of no return.
But get to 160, hold them to 165, and then we'll talk about the game that was.
Yeah.
It might be a loss. It might be a win. It's almost like a 50-50 proposition at 165, but at least we could be talking about a win if you could do it. And I think that they can.
Because I'm really fascinated. Let's say BYU really puts the clamps down, and Jay's like, look, we're going to clamp down on the run. We don't care what we do else, but we are not going to give up the running attack. I'm really fascinated because he hasn't had to do it much at all. And remember, he's still only a sophomore. I'm really curious to see what this quarterback does when he's got to throw it 25 to 30 times in a game, because he hasn't had to do that yet.
No, not even close. We were talking about this Kansas State passing game, and we know what Matt Wells is known for.
Yeah. Matt loves to sling it, but he also will play to his strength. And Avery Johnson right now is only has 163 yards a game and 7.3 yards an attempt, which means a lot of underneath, a lot of wide receiver screens, a lot of stuff like that. He's not forcing the ball down the field.
What is he, 6-1 touchdown?
Six touchdowns, 1 interception. 64% completion.
I mean, it's kind of crazy that that with that amount of passing yards, when they get in the red zone, it's their biggest threat.
Yeah.
Their run game is great, but they like to get in the red zone, and they like to get into scoring position, and he will throw a touchdown pass on you. This is an offense that has put up 10 touchdowns through the year to this point, and the bulk of that is done through the air, even though the bulk of the offense is done on the ground game.
And as you mentioned, you're in the red zone when your tight end becomes part of that touchdown, and 4 out of those 6 touchdowns have come from the tight end position, and so that's coming off play action. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have not seen it. I'm just saying when you see tight ends with touchdowns and you see a lot of red zone scores, you immediately go, that's coming off play action and finding a tight end, and you got Lofton with 2 touchdowns, and then you've got Swanson with 2 touchdowns. The 2 tight ends. So 4 out of those 6 touchdowns, again, have come from your tight ends. In fact, your running back has 1. Yeah, you do not have a wide receiver touchdown.
No.
So you've got 4, and that also screams play action as well. So you got, you fake it, he goes out in the flat, and boom, drop it down to him.
Does Oakley not have a receiving touchdown?
I do not have him.
Okay.
I got him only 1 catch for 10 yards.
Okay.
Now, that's the website I'm going off of.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He's just he's another tight end that I've seen rotate in.
Now, Jace Brown has got 148 yards receiving, but does not have a touchdown reception. He's averaging over 16 and a half yards a catch.
So Giddens and Edwards each have 1 touchdown out of the backfield as running backs.
Yep. As
in the passing game.
In the passing game. And your tight ends have the other 4.
Well, what's interesting, too, you throw in the dynamic of what BYU has become in red zone defense, and they're a dang good red zone defense. Let me give you their red zone defense numbers. They are allowing 62% of scores inside the red zone. So total.
Which is
field goals and touchdowns.
Well, that's a phenomenal number.
62%. There's been 8 attempts inside the red zone. They've given up 3 touchdowns. And then they've given up 2 field goals.
Yeah.
So they've essentially had 3. They've stopped 3 possessions inside the red zone. They've given up 3 touchdowns inside the red zone.
Whereas Kansas State is 91% in the red zone scoring, touchdowns, field goals, and 73% are touchdowns. That is the big storyline in this game. Who wins in the red zone?
Yeah.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're live here at Chubby's in Vineyard. Now, there's 9 Chubby's locations. We're at Vineyard, and we need listeners to come by at 2 o'clock because we are having the Chubby's Challenge where we are going to present to you. Now, 3 of these listeners, and Chubby's will pick the 3, where you will have a burger that consists of 4 grilled cheese sandwiches.
Beautifully buttered, pressed, and grilled.
I like how you call them grilled cheesers.
Oh, they're grilled cheesers, man. They're the grilled cheese buns.
And so those are your buns. You've got 3 patties that are seasoned beautifully. You got all the fixings, so it's this massive burger. And then you're going to have a bunch of fries, whether you want the beer batter fries or the regular fries. That's your call. You're going to be competing against 2 other listeners. And if you're able to finish it in 10 minutes, you're going to get a $50 gift card to Chubby's. And we might throw in some other prizes, too, if you end up winning the entire challenge.
Oh, boy. This is so good, man. I'm excited about this.
But here's the thing, and I think you said this really well. It's not just about this Chubby's Challenge. There's so much great food here.
Oh, yeah. The buffalo wings here are great. I want you to try the buffalo wings. But before you do that, the buffalo tenders. And I want you to go with the sweet sauce. So the tenders with the sweet sauce, I think you're going to fall in love with it. They are hand-battered, freshly fried pieces of chicken breast that are soft and moist. And this is a Southern draw. This is a Southern recipe. The guys that started Chubby's, they're all from Louisiana. Will and his brother Ben, who owns this location here in Vineyard, they're all from Louisiana. So they brought this Southern style. These chicken tenders are going to shock you. They're going to blow you away.
Are these the beer-battered fries, by the way?
Those are the beer-battered fries.
Oh, I got to try these.
And these are the scones. We forgot to tell people free scones when they come in and mention Hans and Scotty.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you get free scones.
Dude, Sean just brought by the scones. So this is a Southern scone. This is a Louisiana scone. It is not a beignet. This is a scone, and they serve it with honey butter, and they do a fresh powdered sugar on top of that scone.
It's not a sopapilla.
Not a sopapilla. No.
There's a scone.
By the way, I am a fry snob.
I know you are.
That is one of the best fries I've ever had because these are bigger fries, and I'm usually more of a shoestring guy because the shoestring will have more of a crunch.
Yeah.
Because you go to and you get the bigger fry, it just gets soggy and gross, and I don't like them. And usually they're not seasoned very well. And there's one place in particular I'm thinking of that doesn't season their fries very well, and they're too big, and they're just bleh. This is as crunchy a fry as I've ever had, and it's a big fry, too. That is the best of both worlds there. That is, honestly,
that's a good fry.
That might be the best fry I've ever had in Utah. I'm not even joking.
They're famous for that fry.
Dave, grab one of those bad boys.
Yeah, they're famous for that fry. That is like that holds this state's attention. So come in, be a part of the Chubby's Challenge. We're going to pick 3 of you, be here at 2 o'clock. And let's rock and roll on this. Let's have some fun. And then come and grab some lunch.
Yep. And free scones.
Free scones. Just mention the show.
We're also giving away BYU tickets. All you have to do is scan the QR code, and you'll have a chance to win, as well as Chubby's is kicking off giving away a pair of Kansas BYU tickets as well. So make sure to stop by, take advantage of all of it. It's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's game week for the Aggies, and the Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. It's a long road trip for the Aggies as they head back east to Philadelphia for a non-conference battle against Temple. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Aggie football. Then catch all the play-by-play action beginning with the Aggie pregame show this Saturday at 11 on 1280 The Zone, with a postgame show immediately following the game. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? It's the first Big 12 battle for the Utes as they head to Stillwater for a showdown against Oklahoma State. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's your Cougar Preview Show. Hey, remember, coming up tomorrow, we'll announce a winner. That's right. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. You submit your nominations at kslsports.com/contest, and then Thursday afternoon, JJ and Alex announce a winner. It's all brought to you by Hercules, First Federal Credit Union, and Beehive Mills.
Get down here. We're starting to get some people to compete in this eating competition that Chubby's has put together. It is the Chubby's Challenge, which is an official challenge.
Yes.
This is a challenge that they've got at their locations.
One of the guys that have come down here that wants to compete tried to do it earlier and failed in high school, correct?
Said back in high school.
And so he's given it another shot. So this is a regular on the a regular occurrence down here.
The Chubby's Challenge is paid for. The winner, if you finish in 10 minutes, you're going to get a very nice chunk of change.
Yes.
If you don't finish, there's still a gift for the person that eats the most inside the 10 minutes.
Yep. So if you come down here, you finish it in 10 minutes or less, we will give you a $50 gift card.
Whew.
If you eat the most out of the 3 contestants, we'll give you a $20 gift card.
Right.
And I might add, everybody that does compete, all 3, we're giving you the meal for free. So you're not paying a dime for your meal today. So come on. And you may end up with a little extra cheddar in your pocket.
Yep.
No pun intended. All right. Mitch Juergens, kind enough to join us, and hangs out with Hans on the BYU broadcast. Mitch, how are you?
Hey, Mitch.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Hey, Mitch, have you ever in your life known anybody like Greg Wrubell? Is he not one of the most unique, incredible human beings you've ever met?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm telling you.
You go, Hans.
No, I'm just telling, I want people to know, and hopefully Greg wouldn't be upset with me telling people this. And, Scotty, this will blow you away. And the reason I'm telling this story is because Mitch is on the line with us.
Yeah.
And so he can verify it. Greg Wrubell, and again, Greg, I'm sorry. Don't be offended. Don't be upset that I'm telling people this. He memorizes every name on the 2 deep by their numbers, every team, every opponent BYU plays. And the reason I know that is because we go through it, and I say the number, he says the name. And he memorizes 50, about, what would you say, Mitch, 55-ish? Maybe 60 names as connected to the number?
Yeah, at least. Offense, defense, special teams, doesn't matter.
Scotty,
he knows it all.
That's
by the number.
That's incredible. As a guy who does this for Utah State, there's no way I could do that.
And he does it every week. And every time I'm sitting there because we just have a run-through, because I like to test him.
Yeah.
And so we'll do a run-through of the full 2 deep. And, Mitch, have you ever seen him miss?
So, I mean, I've been on the crew for 7 years, and I've seen him miss before, but what I think almost equally as impressive as just knowing the names is how disappointed in himself he is when he gets one wrong. He that's the standard of excellence that he holds himself to, and that is why Greg Wrubell is so good at his job.
The best out there.
Scotty,
Yeah.
And I'm one of them, and I'll admit it. He's the best.
How the hell do you remember?
I have no idea.
I
honestly.
work on this. I work my butt off on this stuff. Now, names aren't as important to me as jobs and responsibilities and execution. That's my job. But he's got to have some type of photographic memory, does he not?
He has to. And that's why and you've seen my boards, and you use, a variation of my boards.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm so meticulous, is that I'm not able to memorize names like that. So I've got to have everything written down in front of me so I can go 57, boom, 57 there. Okay. There's 62. That's Joe Schmuckatelli. Boom. He makes the tackle, And I lean on my color analyst a lot for defensive stops. Now, I'll do all the offense. This guy ran the ball. This guy caught it. But I lean on Kevin a lot
on stops?
On the defensive stops.
Well, he's incredible. It's a blast working with him, and it's a blast working with Mitch. Mitch, give me a couple of parts of this game against Kansas State that you're watching very closely that could play heavy into the potential outcome.
Yeah, I think the matchup that I'm most intrigued by, and just seeing how BYU is going to do, and Hans, you'll be pleased with this, but it's the battle of the trenches. As I've been reviewing Kansas State, how they've done this year so far, they are lethal on the ground on offense. All three of their go-to ball carriers. You've got Avery Johnson, who is averaging 6.7 yards a carry. DJ Giddens, 6.6 yards a carry, and he gets the bulk of the carries at running back. But then you have Dylan Edwards, who is just as capable. He doesn't get as many opportunities, but he's averaging 9.2 yards a carry. This offensive line, they can move people around. They get the ball in these guys' hands, and BYU's defense has been pretty remarkable. But this is going to be an absolute test, and I'm just really curious to see how they're going to respond. And because they're good on that offensive side running the ball.
So, Mitch, Hans and I have had this conversation all week. I want to get your opinion as well. Last year, BYU 3-0. They finished the year 5-7. This year, 3-0. If you feel this way, tell me why you feel better about this 3-0 than maybe last year's 3-0, and why this can be the team that gets to 6, 7, 8 wins and gets back to bowl games and where they need to be.
Yeah, couple things that stick out to me first and foremost is just the depth. Going to last season, BYU was 3-0, but you could already tell there was a pretty significant step from the 1s to the 2s, and you deal with injuries, and BYU just wasn't. It didn't seem like they had the talent as deep as they have this year. Where I've been so impressed. I go look at the secondary, and I could list off name after name: Evan Johnson, Mark Collins, Jacob Robinson, as the corners. And we don't see too many of the other corners, but when they've come in, they've gone stride for stride. At the safety position, you've had guys step up like Crew Wakely, Tanner Wall, Talon Alfrey, Micah Harper's still there. You have so many guys on that defense, and there's depth. And so when you get into Big 12 play, I feel much more confident that, and this goes for the offensive side as well. And I feel like on the offensive side, it's been known that there's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of talent, especially with the weapons that Jake has. I feel like this team that looks different on paper, but then the way that they play, and this would be my second point, they know the scheme. They're comfortable with the offense. They're comfortable with the defense. Last year, it did not look that way. Obviously, Jay Hill's first year calling plays. It's a complex defense. It's going to take guys to get used to where they're supposed to be, trusting that the players next to them are in their right spot so they can play confidently. And then on the offensive side, it seemed like a ton of hiccups last year with just receivers not knowing who's got the line, what route concepts look like. It looked like people were just on different pages too often. Where this year, it looks completely different. They look more disciplined. They know what they're doing. It seems to be that there's more accountability. And so when you combine those two things, and I think that gives them so much more of a realistic chance to compete in each of the games on the schedule. And the tough ones, the big tough games, they've got them at home, and there's a big time advantage at Lavelle.
All right. So, Mitch, you know this receiving position as well as anybody out there. And this is going to be kind of a tougher question for you. Because I'm going to go back in the time that you've been calling games on the sideline. Some of your top receivers, you go back to when you started, maybe Aliva Hifo. Year after that, Micah Simon. You got Dax Milne, who's in there. You got to throw a Puka Nacua. So, Scotty, big names, big names that are involved in BYU receiving. Then you could throw a Matt Bushman in there for yards received and whatnot. But where does Chase Roberts rank amongst these names that I just gave you?
I mean,
it's below Mitch Juergens.
Well below our boy Mitch Juergens. But I'm trying to put into terms like where, when this is all said and done, where Chase is going to rank in BYU lore with his ability to hit the route and catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that is a tough question. And had you asked me this question before the season started, I would have put Chase Roberts as definitely, in the somewhere near like a second tier, upper, bottom of a first tier, however many people you want to put in those tiers. Clearly behind Dax Milne, Puka. I think you could put a Matt Bushman in there, Aliva Hifo. But just in the 3 games that I've watched, I've been blown away at the progress that he's made, and he's consistently done this year over year. And this is not at all to say that he wasn't talented coming in, because he was, but he reminds me, I'm going to go to the other side of the ball on this one. I played with Fred Warner, and I mean, he's a linebacker, he's on defense, but the same feeling I had with Fred when he came into BYU, he was a talented freshman, but every single year it was so clear the drastic improvement that he made. He got bigger, he got faster, he got stronger, he got smarter, more athletic, and that's the kind of track record I'm seeing Chase evolve into. Is his routes are so much crispier. His ability to make the contested catch, it's, you talk about 50-50 balls. For Chase Roberts, right now, the way he's playing, it's not a 50-50 ball. Yep. It's a 95-5, it almost feels like. Like if it's up there, he's coming down with it. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I'd have to put him near the top of the list. Like, some people may take this as kind of crazy, but Puka wasn't – he was fabulous and a strong physical player, but he wasn't on the field as much because he dealt with some injuries.
Right.
Chase is a guy that's healthy. I right now would take Chase over Puka in college, when they were both at BYU, just because of that consistency right now. But I mean, it's we're watching something really special with Chase.
Yeah, we are.
So where are you at? Because there's some people that say it's fine, he's good. There's others that are concerned about his development, where he should be at this point. Where are you at on Jake Retzloff?
I'm optimistic. I think, the guy's proved that he can make the play. I think some of where I get a little bit concerned is he can go from so hot to so cold really, really fast. And one of the areas that clearly needs some improvement is he's so talented on the run. I think we've started to see that. I mean, he racked up over 60 yards rushing this last game, and it proved to be, a really valuable asset for him. But what he hasn't dialed in is his throwing on the run just hasn't been as consistent. And you step into Big 12 play, and do those turn into picks? Do those turn into big-time turnovers in close games, where at this point the turnovers that Jake's made, they haven't been as crucial, just due to the competition that the BYU's been up against and how and where they've been positioned in the game. And so I mean, as long as he can take care of the football and make smart decisions, I think he's got every bit. He's as talented as anybody out there, and I think he can get the job done. If the turnovers don't stop, I think there's definitely there's cause for concern. And do you roll the dice on Gary and give him a shot?
Well, we certainly appreciate it. Always fun catching up with you. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the game coming up on Saturday. Should be a fun one.
See you late Saturday night.
Yeah, get your nap in before. So
there he is, Mitch Juergens, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're live here at Chubby's, about 15 minutes away from the Chubby's Challenge, where one of our listeners is going to compete against two other listeners for a chance. Well, everybody's going to get their meal for free. You're going to get this massive burger. You're going to get all the fries for free. And somebody's walking away with a $20 gift card. If you finish it in 10 minutes or less, we'll give you a $50 gift card.
Here's the deal. If you finish it inside that 10 minutes or less, how about we do another 20 gift card on it?
Yeah.
If they finish it in 20 minutes, we'll give them the 50. Because I want to see somebody finish this.
I love it. Let's go. We'll do it coming up at 2:05. Hans and Scotty, this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, live at the Chubby's in Vineyard. There's a lot of Chubby's out there. This is going down in the Vineyard location, 576 North Mill Road in Vineyard. All you have to, it's right next to the Megaplex. You know where it's at. Come on by, hang out. It's right here on 97.5.
It's game week for the Utes, and the Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. After a road win against Utah State, Kyle Whittingham and the Utes hit the road for their Big 12 showdown as they square off against Oklahoma State. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Ute football. Then catch the Ute pregame show this Saturday at 1, with the postgame show immediately following the game. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.